Hey, my name is Fabian Werner. I'm a creator from Germany. I've been doing over 100 YouTube videos and probably over 750 pieces of content over the span of 3 to 5 years now. And I want to show you today in this video a off-the-cuff, behind-the-scenes look on how a video comes together so that we can go from this to this. So starting with how the layout is right now, I want to share every single step I go through to make this shot come together as you have seen it just previously. So first things first, I will give you a quick rundown of everything you need to put this together, or better said, of all the gear I currently use to put my stuff, my shots, everything I use together. There are a bunch of different components, and don't get intimidated if you don't have or own all of them at this point in time. I've been doing this stuff for a long time and I've invested a lot of passion, time and money into this because I want it to be as good as possible. I want to make the best videos possible for education that you can watch, so I invest a lot of money and time and passion into this, as I've already said. So don't get intimidated. Everything can be bought, everything can be saved up to. This is what I've been doing, and yeah, that's it. So let's start with what you need. First of all, you need, as always, when you want to record yourself, you need something that can record an image, a video, and you need something that can record audio. So how do you do that? Well, it's pretty easy. Everyone has one of these. Give me a moment. Because what you can simply do is you can take this nice thing that you should have in your pocket and just use it. This, and let me pick the viewfinder out of the way. So this right here is a smartphone, and a smartphone has a camera app, and in this camera app you can record videos as well as images and audio and everything. So you can use it for pretty much everything. If you are a complete beginner, you can only record audio, you can only record video and remove the audio in your editing software, or you can record both at the same time, which I did for a pretty long amount of time when I got started. And then I plugged a like $5 Amazon lavalier microphone in it, which is these like little microphones that you can plug right in here. I hope it focuses right in this hole. You plug the microphone, stick it out of your shirt like this, and whoop, then can talk into it, and it works like a charm. But even the built-in microphone does work flawlessly. If you want to upgrade and go to the max level, of course, there are endless options. And what I'm using right now is a cinema line camera and a professional microphone. And I will give you a quick look in a couple of seconds. The camera I'm using is a Sony FX3. It is about, I think, $5,000, at least euros. And the microphone, so the audio you're hearing right now, is the Shure SM7B. I can't put it in frame good enough, but this is the audio or the microphone I'm using right now to record the audio that you're hearing. Yeah, so let's get started. What do you need as far as essentials? You need video camera or a camera or your smartphone, whatever. You need a microphone. Could also be your smartphone or a professional microphone like this one. Or I have another one, it is a Sennheiser one. I'll show you in a second. And then, first and foremost, if you have those two things, you need a tripod. So something where you can mount your camera on. And yeah, that's basically it for the beginning. So right now I have this exact setup, and I will show you everything that's put together, at least at this setup right now. And I'll do that by recording a video on my smartphone at the same time. Right now you should be able to see me over here, and this is a nice setup. So this is what I'm seeing right now when I'm recording this video. So this is exactly what I'm seeing, and what I just told you about is that you need a tripod. A tripod is nothing else than a thing where you can mount your camera or your smartphone onto. And then I have my microphone here attached to a microphone arm and my camera attached to the tripod itself. Okay, so then what else do you need on equipment? Say if this is our beginner setup, Of course, it's not beginner, it's also already pretty expensive. Hey gang, you need this type of stuff, but then also for like the audio gear, let me adjust it real quick. You need a so-called audio interface. So right now, my microphone, the Shure SM7B, runs through an XLR cable, which is mounted at the end of this, like right here. And now the audio is gonna get a little worse, excuse me for a second. And all of this stuff runs through down here. This is still the XLR cable that's coming out of the like hole type of thingy, and it runs into a Cloud Lifter CL1 that runs into another XLR cable, and that other XLR cable runs into the audio interface, and the audio interface right here runs via a USB-C into my computer. So that is about it. And then you could get started. So I will stop this recording now and I will see you back again there. Okay, so we are back live here. And that is about it for a setup. That's what I've used for the longest time. The rule of thumb always is to get started upgrading your audio gear first and then your video gear second, because people will sit through a video with bad image quality but not sit through a video with bad audio quality. Okay, all in all, with the audio interface setup, you are like the Shure SM7B is like 380 euros. I can only say it in euros, but in dollars it's pretty much similar. It's 380. The mic arm is like, I think it was $70 or euros. I'm using one from a brand called Elgato. Then the audio interface is from Focusrite. It was like $120. The Cloud Lifter is like, I think $150, and the cables are $20. And the tripod right here has been probably around, I think, $200 or euros, and the camera, as I've already said, was like $5,000, but it also came with the lens that it is already attached on, and that's a great deal because the camera body itself is like 3.5 and the lens itself was also like 2.5 or something like that, and would have been $6,000, but in the like deal combi package it was $5,000. Yeah. Okay, so quick question, if you have any questions, or these were the questions I originally had that we will go through right now. So first of all, why can't you just plug the microphone straight into your computer, at least this microphone? That's due to technical reasons. First, the sound, the signal has to be digitized before you can use it. I don't understand any of this. I just watched tutorials and got smart and then just did what everybody was saying. So you need to run your microphone through an audio interface, and that interface makes the recording, I'd say, like digital, so you can have a MP3 file, for example, on your computer that works, and that's just the way it is. So that's what you need. And why the Cloud Lifter? Why this like purple thingy in between? Well, that's also pretty easy because it boosts your input 25 decibels, so quite a lot, without losing or compromising quality. Why would you need that? Because with this microphone, with the Shure SM7B, it is a pretty like gain intensive microphone, and gain is just a fancy way of saying volume. So it needs a lot of volume, a lot of noise, a lot of gain to pick up signal, and that's why this raise of 25 dB makes it more easy to just use. And then the only other button you need on your interface that you need to set up, I can show you real quick with another video. So we go live right now. Okay, we should be live again. So the only other button that you need is to turn this knob right here, and this sets your gain for the audio interface, and you need to turn it so long until it hits like always a green ring when you're talking into it. If you have a yellow ring like right now, then you are too loud. So you want to have that simple green ring whenever you talk. And the other button you need to activate is this button right here. It says 48 volts, and that is so-called phantom power, which means that is required just to power the microphone. Otherwise, you would not have any input if you would talk into the Shure SM7B. And this is only specific to the Shure SM7B. For other microphones, I'm no expert. I've been using only the Shure SM7B, and that's what has been working for me. Okay, and then of course you need to set the microphone as the used microphone in your computer input settings. And that's probably it. Okay, so that's it for the setup right now and all the behind the scenes stuff. So now we can get into how the shots and everything else works. So this will be a little bit more off the cuff, and I will show you everything and how it is put together. The question is, how do I do that? Well, I think we just leave it as is. And now, of course, the audio quality will get a little worse because I will run around the room and show you all of the stuff that is needed. But I think I'll now go ahead and show you everything, hold it into the camera that is needed as well. So all of the setup you see in front of me, you have just seen in the video. But if we now want to record professionally, we can also record audio straight into the camera, which makes it easier in editing, because right now, the way I'm doing it is you would also always need your PC or desktop to have it with you. And the downside is that you would need to have to synchronize the audio that is picked up by the camera right now and that you have recorded externally on your desktop. So you need to synchronize it. And the other way is you would pick such a microphone, an XLR microphone. That's what these microphones are called, that need external power, and these thicker cables that are called XLR cables. You can record them into the camera instantly, which saves you time and effort and makes the entire process easier. So that's what I'm using. And luckily the Sony FX3, which is the camera I'm using right now, comes with a so-called XLR top handle, which replaces the audio interface, the red thingy that you have just seen on my desk. So I will show you how this all is put together. Let's get started. So the first thing that you will need, and I will let's go like this so you can see more. So the first thing you need is this thingy, at least that's what I'm using. This is essentially just another tripod for the microphone, because the rule of thumb is that you want to get the source, so the microphone, like right here, always as close to the source as possible to pick up the best audio signal in general. And that's why if I would mount the microphone on top of my camera, which would be like right here, it would be not good enough. The audio would be better if it is closer to my mouth, and if I'm moving around in a room, you always want the audio to be as close to your mouth as possible. So if we are using the microphone that you will see in a second, you understand why. So this is the tripod thingy for the microphone. Next thing that we need is at least what I'm using is this thing right here, and I will show you. This is a so-called gray card, and it is the thing that you need to use when you are shooting with a professional camera and you need to set the white balance. So the white balance is just a metric that displays if everything that is white, like here for example, actually gets picked up as white on the camera. Right now I've set it on automatic, but if you want to set it in a manual way, you just take a photo with your camera from the dot right here, and the camera automatically adjusts the white balance settings for you, which is pretty neat. And something like this is like $20 or bucks, euros off of Amazon. All right, so then the next thing that you can now see behind me that you need to record professional videos, I will go like this, and let's make it in focus. The next thing you need, please stay in focus. Yeah, I will just go out of the frame. So the next thing you need is a so-called softbox, or a light in general. So then you're not in need of sunlight, of natural light, but you can make artificial light straight in your room. And this is a pretty neat way of being able to record whenever. and whatever you want to record. So this is an artificial light, and I will make a short video with my phone to show you what it is and how it works. Okay. So, I was just speaking about the light. The key light I'm using is the so-called Aperture 300D Mark II, and mounted on top of it is the Aperture Light Dome 3. So together it looks like this, and this makes up for my light. And what you also need is a so-called C-stand to mount it onto so that it works. And yeah, that's about it. You need some more things if you want to use it properly. So let's have a look. And this is the thing that comes attached with it. So there's where you control the intensity, and these are just like the cables to plug it into your like electricity and into the light. So these are just cables that you would also need to use. And one thing I will not show you in the setup, but that you could use, is a so-called teleprompter. I also use one from Elgato. This is the I'm using for the like microphone arm. So this is Elgato that I'm using, and this would generally allow you to look in the camera but read off text at the same time. I've used it in a couple videos so far, but I will definitely need to get better at it, because if you don't look in your lens at all the time but your eyes flicker like this, people notice and it looks really awful and weird. So you want to always have this natural look as if you were looking in the eyes of a person straight when you're talking to them. Okay. So now we have light, we have video, we have audio. No, we don't have audio yet. We have this audio, the stationary audio, but we want to have the audio attached to the camera. So this is what I'm going to show you next. So there are two more things that we need. The first one being the so-called XLR audio interface. Let's put it in focus. So this is the XLR audio interface. Please don't make me in focus, camera. I'm not an expert, I'm just a beginner, so I show you as good as I can. Okay, please focus, focus. Nice. So this is the thing you put on top of your camera, or at least what I'm putting on top of my camera. And yeah, it's pretty simple. The microphone goes in here. If you want it stationary on your camera, you just screw it in with these screws. Then you can carry around your camera like this. You plug in the XLR cable to your microphone in one of these slots. You can use two microphones at the same time, but I'm only using one. So you turn it off. Cable in here, other cable into your microphone, which comes in here, and then you're good to go. So what are my settings on the XLR top handle? Of course, the handle audio, you want to be it on. Otherwise, it does not work because it is turned off. What a surprise. Then you only want to record 2-channel audio. I hope you can see it. Right here, the button is at its lowest. Maybe it's better if I do this. So I have the button on the lowest option. So IN1. So I have one input, so I'm using input 1. This is labeled right here. Input 1. Hope you can see it. I'm using input 1 only. And for input 1, I want to record 2 channels, one on the left ear and one on the right ear. So stereo audio in general. But a rule of thumb is that you put audio into mono again in editing later. Okay, so then what are some other settings? It looks pretty complicated at first, but it definitely is not. So right here, please focus. So right here are a bunch of different settings, and I will quickly make me a photograph so I can show it to you while also talking about it. And I hope you don't mind that this video is a little bit more off the cuff. But some people requested that they like these kinds of videos more than over-edited ones. That's why I'm gonna do this that way today. So, okay, here it is. I hope the autofocus works and the tracking works. Okay, so as you can see, coming from the complete left of the thing, you have this button ATT, which stands for attenuation. If you're using the Sennheiser 416, this is the one I'm using. You want to have it set at 10 decibels. This just sets how sensitive or something like that is your microphone. And 10 decibels is the recommended default setting from Sony, so just experiment with it. But if you're not sure, leave it at 10 because it's just the default setting and that is what's recommended. So then next to it on the right, there are these 3 switches called line mic and mic plus 48 volt. If you remember previously from my red box on the table, the 48 phantom volt is needed if we want to power an XLR microphone, and the Sennheiser MKH416 is an XLR microphone, the same as the Shure SM7B is, so that is why this switch is turned on. It's on the green option. Okay. And then this wheel, you have 2 options, either auto or manual. Right now I've set it to manual, which means the gain, so the volume, gets adjusted automatically. I found this to work pretty well. That's why I've set it to auto, and I don't need to make any other settings. And since we are recording 2-channel audio, we also can adjust the wheel from the side next to it, which is right now on manual. It's set on manual, it's the wheel in the middle. This is the only setting that also gets controlled from the input setting back here, if you remember. So I also set this to manual. So the other channel is a backup channel on 5, on the index 5, just so that is a static gain, a gain of the value of 5, which means that if my audio in the first channel should completely be messed up, I have this backup audio as well. And with this, the input settings are exactly the same, but since we are not using them, I left them on default. Alright, and then we can add a low cut. That's what you see on the completely right, so 300 Hz, 100 Hz are off. I just left both of these off because you can do it in editing as well, so that's what I recommend to you as well. Just leave all of them off. And then for the third input, you can input 3 microphones. You have another gain wheel, but we don't need that as we only have 1 input. I hope this was pretty understandable. If not, there are a bunch of videos explaining every step in detail. This is just as how far I have understood each of these steps. And that's the way I teach. Okay, I hope you enjoy so far. If so, then leave me a positive comment acknowledging what you learned and what you liked about this video. And now, of course, and without further ado, we also have to talk about the microphone. I'm using a Sennheiser microphone. And yeah, it is pretty straightforward. So it is essentially this thing. It's just a stick. It's a so-called shotgun microphone because it's like longer, and the magic behind is that all the like input just gets put in this one point here, and everything in this like riffling at the side gets cut out. So if we were like talking in a talking style video like this, all of the noise, if there were wind sounds coming here from the side, would get ignored, and only like from the input up front here would work. So that's why in TV shows, if you want to be really professional, they always have, or in movies, they have the mic not shown in frame, which means they mount the microphone to be just out of frame. So if we were like right here, we would have to mount it right here to get the best audio as close to the source as possible, but we can record this way because, well, you would see it, which destroys the image. So just out of frame. And that's where the microphone stand comes in. Or other way, the way I've done it so far, and YouTubers like MKBHD do it, you can also do it from below. So just out of frame, like here from below. Same I'm doing with this microphone like right now. So I can do it just out of frame to get the best audio quality possible, and yeah, without having to see the microphone. Okay, any other points? Yeah, so if you are recording outside, you can also add this wind thingy. It's good for wind, but if you only record inside, you can leave it as is. And this is the mount that you would need if you have a mic stand. So this is what goes on top of the mic stand, and there you can like click your microphone in so that it works. I know it's not in focus right now. Probably I should go like this. Please focus, focus. I think you get the point. It's just a simple thingy. It comes with the Sennheiser MKH416P48U3 if you want to have it exactly. So that's the microphone you can Google. Okay, and lastly, some more gear. So of course, if you record, you need a so-called SD card. So that's where all of your footage gets recorded on. If you want to get it into your computer, you need an SD card reader. So this is this thing. If you want to record, same as with your phone, each camera needs a battery. So you also need a battery charger. This is this thing right here, comes with the camera. The SD card reader does not come with the camera. And if you want to plug the microphone into your camera, well, you need another XLR cable. That's the way how these look. I have one short one if I want to mount it on top of the camera, but historically the audio is not as great as if you have the microphone stand and just put it straight into your mouth. Okay, that is it. And one final thing. You can buy so-called lens filters for your camera. And this is just essentially, I'm using a so-called ND filter, a neutral density filter, and this is not more than, let me show you. This is not more than a pair of sunglasses for your camera. And what this does is, if you have a lot of light coming in, your image would be too bright. Well, who would have thought? And this way you can record outside without ever being overexposed. So overexposed is the fancy term for your images that are just too bright and then it looks awful. So you can screw it on top of your lens and yeah, then it works. You can adjust it. So these are two pieces of glass that you can turn against each other until the image looks properly. Okay. Well, now how do I set up my shots? It's pretty simple. Right now I have my camera in full auto settings, so it records everything automatically. So in the camera you have 3 important settings that I can see right here, and below I can make you a video off of it. Or you have 4 settings that are really needed. So let's switch into the camera mode again. Okay. So you have ISO, which is basically the artificial brightness of your camera. You have aperture, it's called. It is basically, the lower this number is, the more blurry the background gets. So you want to always keep this as low as possible to get a cinematic or a well-looking image. And this is the so-called shutter speed. This is pretty simple. It's just your frame rate essentially. So you want to record at a certain frame rate. For example, 24 frames, or right now I'm recording on 25 frames. And this is just 1 divided by the number of frames you're recording at times 2. So if I record at 25 frames, you want to have it at 1-50. If you record at 60 frames, you want to have it at 1-120. So it's pretty much really simple. And then the last thing you need is on your lens, you have to make a setting, which is the so-called focal length. So these are these fancy numbers that you have on your lens. And the higher the number gets, the more zoomed in the image gets. And yeah, that's the number on each lens as well. So this lens is at 2.8 is the minimum. So this is the number right here. As the lower the better, but the lower the more expensive the lens becomes. And the same goes for this number. 24-70 means that you can go from a focal length of minimum 24 millimeters to maximum of 70 millimeters. And this is just a stylistic choice. So the higher this number gets, the more zoomed in it is. Right now I'm at 24 millimeters, so you can see pretty much everything, the entirety of this image. And now if I start to zoom in, so for example, this right now we are at 35 millimeters, so you can see it's already more zoomed in. And the higher this number gets, the blurrier the background gets as well. Now let's go to 50. So this right now would be 50. As you can see, my head is already cut off out of the image, so the less is seen. So I would have to go a little bit more back so that you could see the entire image. And now let's go up to 70. Now this would be 70. You can see the background is completely blurry, and this would be great for these like very cinematic shots where you would also see just my eyes, or if you want to make great thumbnails, for example. But let's get back to 24. And let's quickly answer the question how I would set up my shots. Well, now you have all of the parts that are needed. How do I set up my shots? I set up my tripod first. Then I put my camera on it in an angle that looks properly. Then I set up the audio. Like I get my mic stand, put it somewhere where it's not in the way, and then plug in the audio, the microphone, the XLR cables, put it in the camera, and yeah, then I have audio, I have an image, and then depending on the lighting situation, I optionally turn on this one, but as you can see with this video, for example, the lighting is absolutely fine, so I would not need any artificial light. But for example, if I would like to record at night, or stylistically, if I want to have a bright image, then I could help with something like the key light and the softbox. And you could also go with multiple lights. So what many people do is that you have a key light coming from the front, like right here, and a backlight coming from the back, so it looks more cinematic. So just experiment with what you like. There are a bunch of videos. There's a thing called 3-point lighting. Just quickly explain this. So for example, you want to have one light source 30 degrees to your right. This would be your key light. As you can see, this part of my face is brightest, so it looks well lit. But and this is cinematic, that you always like film the dark side of your face. That's just the way it is. But here's a big window, so that's just automatically the way it is. And then you have for the second light in the 3 key point lighting setup, a fill light, which would come from the opposite direction. So light 1, 30 degrees to your right, bright, let's say 80% of the brightness. Fill light, 30% of the left to your camera, brightness 20%, for example. And then a so-called rim light, which is this one, which lights you from your back. So you get pretty much separated from the background by having this nice glowy halo around your face or whatever. And you can also, of course, make lights in different colors, for example, to adjust them to your brand. I go with cool white, for example, because I think it looks the most professional, clean, and suits my brand aesthetic. Okay. This was my entire guide to everything I know about cameras, lighting, and recording videos behind the scenes. And if you have any questions, then let me know about them in the comments. I will throw this video together in the edit. Yeah, editing. I forgot editing. I use DaVinci Resolve. It is absolutely free. I can definitely recommend it. Just use DaVinci Resolve. Get used to it. Have a look at tutorials. Or if you want to make me to record a tutorial for you how I edit my videos, then let me know. Or if you're interested in me doing a course, for example, about it online, let me know about it and I will do so. And that's about it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will now set up my camera and make it look real professional. And then I will see you back again in the future Rambly videos with the entire setup being finished. So I wish you a great day and great recording. I wish you the best luck for recording your own YouTube videos. And if you have learned something new, as always, I prompt you to check out the description down below and leave me a good review, a comment, a like, subscribe to the channel, and maybe subscribe to my newsletter in which I share everything I've learned so far. Like all of these learnings are shared in my newsletter as well. I make everything I learn fully transparent, so check it out. And I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye bye.